I've also had the same experience from VES specifically. I haven't seen any other of the other companies do this. Side note, you're the second person I know that had a C&P exam at a VA facility. So congrats. But when VES sent me a packet, it was for my knee specifically, and they asked me to upload evidence, or is there anything that they want them to review from me? And I think that is perfect. Okay. Because if the VA did not send them whatever, now I have the opportunity to send them. And the reason why I wanted to double tap that is because I've heard that multiple veterans tell me specifically that, hey, the VA already has this, I'm not sending it. I'm telling you right now, that is not the move to do. That contracting company is basically holding their hand out and saying, hey, brother,
yep, let me help you.
I got you.
Yep.
I got you. Okay. I got you. Here's your second chance. Is there anything you want me to review? And whatever heartache or headache or time you put towards that, I promise you it is much better than being denied, complaining, and then going through the appeal process. I promise you every time of every day of the week, that's the case. And so, and then that also led me to another thought before we move on. And someone always asks this question of, can I bring an evidence, or can I bring a statement to my C&P exam? And you're going to get different answers on this. Okay. And I'll give you the technical answer, and then I'll give you like the real life answer. So technically speaking, if that examiner wanted to, they are only required to review the evidence the VA sent them, point blank. Okay. On my channel, I had an interview with a QTC C&P examiner who decided to remain anonymous, and the information he gave was beautiful. But a day after we had went live, he said way too much and gave way too much information. And I even told him, hey, man, I think you're saying too much. And so we deleted the live, out of respect for him. But what he said is they are obligated to only use the evidence the VA sends them. And if the veteran has evidence, it is personality based. And that QTC examiner said some of his coworkers are hardcore, I'm not reviewing any evidence the veteran gives me. And that is within the confines of the contract they have with the VA. That's the right thing to do in their eyes. So I say all of that to say this. If you bring evidence with you, which I personally would recommend, okay? If you bring evidence with you, first, let's say, VES contacts you before your exam, don't walk in there with evidence for the first time. Call VES. You can call them and say, hey, I have this evidence. Is there any way I can upload it? And I'm telling you, every company has an avenue to upload that evidence. That is much better than just showing up on the spot. Because, that personality game, and I'm not saying it's right, this is just a reality. The personality game can really take that C&P exam downhill, and it will be a bad experience, and all of a sudden you're denied. And is it right? Probably not. That's all. That's my rant on that, Jason. But you did bring up a really, really, really good point. Go ahead.
I'm glad that you did, because the bottom line is that you can remove some of the personality by making that phone call up front. Mm-hmm. And for vets that are watching this, look, the answer is always no if you don't ask, right? Don't be afraid of the flagpole, right? We've grown up with this military behavior of, okay, look, I kind of want to stay away from that area. The less amount of time I can spend there, probably the better. Wrong answer. Make the phone call and drive the actions that you want, right? We all have that in us, right? We're a special breed of people, I like to believe. And you make that phone call, you have that conversation with the front staff person. It's low threat. You could be, nice and, talking a higher pitch if you want, all that good stuff. And then you can actually, maybe get that stuff uploaded. So then the examiner gets it, and now they're reviewing it without you there doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So before we start jumping into how you prepare or whatever for your C&P exam, because we're kind of talking about the overarching what to expect. So I feel like we're pretty good with the what to expect piece. I'm glad that you double tapped on that. My company was QTC that I had that sent me the information to write down and bring with me or whatever. So again, that's kind of the how to prepare, I guess. And I'm not sure if that's the next stage that we want to move into in this, but it
Yeah.
seems like a natural progression.
Yeah, let's transition to how to speak to a C&P examiner because this is critical, right? So you understand the
Probably in Latin.
foundation. Yeah. Sign language, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
so how this is my personal advice. This is not doctrine at all. I like to approach a C&P examiner kind of mathematically and to understand the formula, and I'll give it to you here in a second, but you have to understand what the VA needs for service connection. It's not what they want, it's what they need. They need it. And if you don't have it, you will be denied. And it goes down to it's what's known as the big three. It's in 38 CFR. And any decision letter you ever have, you can look at the reference codes for these three. Number one is the in service event, okay? Meaning something in the military happened or the condition manifested itself in service. Sometimes people call this time in service. It's the same thing. Two is a current diagnosis. That condition must be chronic. A very, very common example of a denial for current diagnosis is, people will join the military with flat feet. It's extremely common. And then they go through 10 years of military service. There's no evidence of foot pain. It's labeled as acute, meaning that condition is not chronic. And so they have a C&P exam, and then they are diagnosed with acute flat feet. The condition must be chronic. Okay, it has to be a disability. That's where we get the name of VA disability. Although I firmly disagree with that, and I would just say VA compensation. That's a
Yeah.
side note. And then the third thing, which is most important, that will be provided by the C&P examiner. Okay, your examiner is required by contract to give the nexus. The nexus is just linking one thing to another. In this case, it would be the current diagnosis and your in service events to your military service. And there's some jargon on that. That was a solid pun saying at least as likely.
Mhm.
There's 5 nexus statements the VA will use. 3 of them you'll see. It's less likely as not, which means no. It's at least as likely, which means probably, right? But in VA terms, it's a yes. And then there's more than likely, which is like a super yes. The other 2 are due to, which is 100%, or not due to, but you will rarely see those. And so, how to speak to a C&P examiner. Now that we understand the foundation of the big 3, the formula goes, the C&P examiner says, "Hey, talk to me about migraines." I'm going to tell you what you don't say. "Oh, I get migraines, 2 or 3 times per month. That's about it." You don't say that, okay? Here's how I would answer that question. "Hey, talk to me about your migraines." "Oh, in 2013, because I know my evidence, because we are informed and educated. In 2013, in the Marine Corps, on my health assessment, I complained about migraines XYZ. From then, I was told to suck it up. So I was doing over the counter medication. When I left the Marine Corps, I had migraines the entire time. Then I went to VA healthcare. Okay, I went to my primary care team. I talked to my physician about migraines. I was given medication, injections, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, um, and I still have migraines ever since. Now, the formula for that, if you were to dissect that, is you were literally giving the examiner the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and continuity, right? So if you take the in-service event, you add the current diagnosis, and then you add the continuity, that equals service connection. And you're basically doing the C&P examiner's job verbally. And that response of referencing those 3 is a lot better than saying, I get migraines 2 or 3 times per month, right? I read 38 CFR. Oh yeah, they're prostrating. I'm sensitive to light. Which is good that you did do that, but you're missing how to actually deliver or not deliver, articulate what the heck is happening to you in a way that the VA needs for service connection.